So let's maybe do this guy while we're at it. Okay, and I think I'll just do this in max. So I'm just going to go in isolation mode, Alt Q, make it a little easier to see. Okay, and we'll apply our checker pattern. Alright, and let's put an unwrap on this. Okay, and edit. Alright, and I'm just going to shrink this down a bit. Alright, so we'll do this the same way. Let's just go to face and select the whole element. Okay, and then we'll just do a flatten mapping on it and hit OK. Alright, and I'm just going to space some of these pieces out so I can see a bit better. Alright, and we'll go back to edge, turn off synced element, and we'll just stitch a couple of times. Alright, so grab this one, stitch selected, grab the bottom one, stitch selected. Alright, and we have the sides here. Let's just grab this chunk and move it up. Okay, so we're going to have to stitch the sides back on. Okay, so I'm just going to zoom in here on the middle and just grab this one here and stitch. Okay, just to stitch it back on, and we'll do the same at the other end. Stitch. Okay, and we're going to have some little chamfer pieces down here that we're going to have to put back together. Okay, so they go right in here. So I'm just going to zoom in and just select these three edges, holding Control, and stitch. Alright, just like that. Do the same thing down here, these three, stitch. And we'll go to the other end and do the same thing. Alright, one more time. Stitch. Okay, and we can weld these verts up. Alright, so let's go to vertex, and I'm just going to right click and go to target weld. Okay, and we'll just drag this one, and it's just like the edges, the corresponding verts will turn blue. Okay, so we'll drag this over, and when the cursor changes to a white cross, we'll let go. Okay, and you'll notice the edge turns white. You just want to make sure it goes white, else it's still not welded. Alright, it'll still be open seam there. Alright, so just like that. Do this quickly. Okay, and then the couple down the other end. Just get those out of the way. Alright, so this one to here, this one to here. Alright, just like that. Alright, so that piece is done. Okay, so let's turn face back on and tick on sync to element and just select the whole chunk, and let's go back into the viewport and just exit isolation mode. Okay, zoom in here, and they're upside down again, so I'm just going to flip it 180. Okay, and again you can use rotate to do that, doesn't matter. Alright, so let's just scale this down a little bit, try to get our checkers to be a little bigger. Alright, maybe like that, that's probably fine. Okay, and we'll just drag it and drop it outside of the 0 to 1 and close this. Alright, so that piece is done. So just a few more to go. Alright, let's do the little keyhole next, I think. Alright, just gonna hit Z. Alright, I might take this out and do this in UV layout, I think. Okay, so let's select it and export selected. Alright, we'll just call this keyhole, or whatever you like, and save, and export. Done. And we'll go out to the desktop, dump our base one that we don't need anymore, and just drop this on the icon, and load. Alright, so I think I'll just hack this up a bit. It's really small, so I'm not too concerned about the seams. So the first thing I do is just cut the inside of the circle out, or the hole there. Okay, so with my edges set to 10, I'm just going to grab maybe this loop right here, hit C, okay, and enter to detach. Alright, and again you can always hold the spacebar on the middle mouse button and just drag that piece over to the side so you can see a bit better. Alright, so let's just cut this one more time, just somewhere up on the inside where you're never going to see it. So C, and then we'll do Shift S to split, and D to drop. Okay. Alright, so for this piece I think I'm just going to cut the whole face off. That'll probably be the easiest way. So let's maybe grab this loop right here, hit C, and C. Okay, all the way around, and enter. Alright, break it off, and D to drop it. Alright, and this one, I'm just going to cut it somewhere down here. And Shift S to split, and D to drop. Alright, back into the UV view. Alright, Shift F on the first piece, spacebar. We'll just give this one a second. Might not get it perfectly straight, but it shouldn't matter, you're never going to see that anyway. Alright, so say that's cool, spacebar to end it. Alright, same thing with this, Shift F, spacebar. You can see slight pink here, so we'll have a slight stretching, but that's okay. It's so tiny, you're never going to notice. Alright, so we'll just end it with spacebar. And do the same thing here, Shift F, spacebar. Let it get kind of straight. It might start to actually bend it, but we'll just stop it maybe right there. Okay, so really quick job on this, but again, it's so tiny, it's not really going to matter in this case. Okay, so just going to rotate that, maybe put it there, and maybe just spin this one and put it underneath. And we'll figure out what we want to do with this when we lay our UV sheet out. Okay, so let's just hit auto fit, fit it in, and go back to 3D. Hit T. Alright, not too bad, not perfect, but that's okay. And we'll just save. Alright, add the H, save it out. Okay, dismiss it, and close and exit. Alright, let's dump the original, and go back into Max, and delete that one with delete, and import the new one. Alright, select it, open, and OK. Alright, just gonna hit Z. Alright, so let's put the checker pattern on here. Okay, and let's convert it back to the poly. Alright, change the color back to black. Okay, and we'll just throw the unwrap on this as well. And edit. Okay, so what I might do for this piece is just go to Edge, turn off Synced Element, and I think I might just stitch the side back onto the face. Alright, let's grab maybe this middle edge here and just stitch. Alright, just so they're attached together. Alright, one less piece we'll have to worry about moving around. Okay, so just like that. And again, it's not perfect, but it shouldn't matter for this little tiny detail. Okay, so we'll select them all, and let's just scale this way down. Alright, this doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be very big on our UVs. Alright, so pretty much just like that, I guess, and we'll just stick it up here. Okay, and you can do this a different way if you want to take more time, but just for the sake of speed, I'm just going to leave it like that, and we'll close this and turn off the unwrap. Okay, and we might want to put a smooth modifier back on it just to make sure, so let's just do that quickly. Okay, smooth and then auto smooth. Alright, so we're just left with the legs and the feet down at the bottom, and we'll just map one of each and then replace our other ones. Okay, so let's grab the leg here, any one of them, and we'll put the unwrap on. I'll just do this in Max. Alright, edit. Just move this over so we can see what we're doing. Let's apply our checker pattern to it. Alright, try to zoom in here. Okay, so let's do it the same way back to face with Synced Element turned on. Select it, and we'll flatten map it again. And OK. Alright, and then we'll just stitch a couple of these back together. Alright, I'm just going to be careful not to put the seam on the outside. Alright, so we can try to hide it. Okay, so let's turn off Synced Element. Alright, so stitch. And stitch. And stitch. Okay, just like that. So one little strip. Alright, so really simple, but again, it's a really tiny detail and we don't need to worry too much about it. Okay, so I'm just going to rotate it so it's everything's up in the right direction, and then we'll scale it. Alright, we'll go way down on this. Alright, maybe just like that, and then we'll just drag it outside of the 0 to 1 and drop it. Okay. Alright, so we'll say that's good enough for the leg. Let's do the little foot pad. Alright, this will be our last piece. And I might take this out and actually do this in UV layout. Okay, so let's select it and export it. Feel free to do it in Max if you want to, but I think we're going to take it out. Alright, so we'll name it foot pad. Save, export, done. Alright, back to the desktop. Let's get rid of that keyhole and just drag this over onto Hedis. Okay, and load. Alright, so this is really simple, and it's a small detail, so I'm just gonna, I think, cut the top off. Alright, so let's just grab a loop here, maybe this bottom one, and just hit C. And C. Alright, just so it goes all the way around, and then we'll detach the top with Enter. Okay, and drop it with D. Alright, and then for the sides here, I'm just going to cut it into two pieces, so let's cut it there and cut it there with C, and Shift S to split, and D to drop. Alright, open up the display panel, just hit 3D and then hit UV, Alright, so let's do Shift F on this piece. It might get a little bit of stretching on the top of that beveled piece, but it shouldn't be too bad, so we'll just hit spacebar. Alright, it actually looks pretty good. Okay, it's going to be very, very slight. Alright, so Shift F, spacebar. And Shift F, and spacebar. Okay, spacebar again to end it. Alright, so for this I might just move one side up there and one side below it. Okay, and I might attach that back together in Max, I'm not sure. So let's just put it like that and hit auto fit. Okay, and back to 3D view. Hit T. Alright, looks pretty good. We're going to have the seam obviously all the way around the outside, but because it's such a small detail I'm not going to worry about it. Just going to leave it like that because I don't think you'll notice. Okay, so we'll say that's good and let's save it out. Add the H and save. Alright, we'll just close this. That should be it for UV layout. Okay, and let's dump the original. Okay, and back into Max. Alright, dump this one with delete. Import the new one. Alright, I forgot to rename the last piece we did, so it's asking me to change the name here, so I'm just going to call this footpad. Alright, and just say OK. Alright, Z to zoom in. Okay, and let's just throw the checker pattern on that guy. And we'll convert it back to editable poly. Change the color back to black. Okay, and we'll just put the unwrap on quickly. Alright, edit. Alright, so for this I think I might just go to edge, turn off sync to element, and just stitch the two sides back on. Alright, let's just grab a middle edge here. Alright, so I'm just going to select this one down here and stitch. Okay, and then we'll just select one up here and stitch. Okay, just so it's attached together so it's a little easier when we want to move it around and scale it. Alright, all one piece. Okay, so let's scale it down. Alright, this can go down really, really small. Alright, maybe like that. Alright, and just chuck it down there. Alright, close this stuff. Alright, so our mapping's done. We're just going to have to replace our other little foot pads here. So before we do that, let's do a save, just to be safe. Alright, so now that we have the one leg and one foot pad mapped, we'll just replace these guys over here. Alright, so I'm just going to select the leg and the foot pad on our mapped one. Okay, and we'll go to move, and I'm just going to hold shift and just drag a copy over on the Y. Okay, and we'll say copy and OK. And then we'll just zoom in here. Alright, I'm just going to select the leg. Okay, and we'll just go to the align tool up here and click on this leg over here. Okay. We want to do X, Y, and Z, and just center and center, okay? And say OK. Alright, and we'll do the same thing with the foot pad. Align tool, click on this one. And same settings, and OK. Alright, just so we know they're positioned properly, and we'll just have to select the ones that aren't mapped and delete them. Okay, so just going to try to select the gray one. Delete, and delete, okay? Just like that, and then we'll just do that on each one. Alright, so we'll grab both those again. Alright, shift drag on the X. And OK. Alright, just gonna hit Z to zoom in. Alright, so let's select the leg. Line tool, click on that leg, and OK. And then the foot pad. And align to that foot pad, and OK. Alright, and then just try to select the one that isn't mapped and delete it. Okay. And we'll just grab these guys, both of them again, and we'll just replace this last one. Okay, so shift and drag on the Y, copy and OK. Alright, select our leg, go to the align tool, click on this one, hit OK, and then do the same with that, and OK. Alright, and then just get the one that's not mapped and delete it. Alright, just like that. Okay. So it's now completely mapped, all our pieces. Alright, so before we actually attach anything together or organize our UVs, I'm just going to do another save, just in case we have a crash. Okay, so I think we'll use a single 2K texture for this, and I want to have everything on one texture sheet, so I'm going to attach the entire box together into one object, and that's just because I'm using Max 9. In the newer versions of Max, I'm pretty sure you don't have to attach your pieces together first. You can just select multiple objects and apply an unwrap UVW, and they'll all be added to the same texture sheet, but Max 9 doesn't work that way as far as I know, so the only way to get them all on one sheet is attach it all together. Okay, so I'm going to do that now. Just select the body, right click and convert it back to editable poly. Okay, and then we'll just go over to the rollout, open up attach, and just say all, and attach. Alright, so it's all one piece now. It's still going to remember our mapping for the separate elements, but everything's attached together in one object. Okay, so let's just add an unwrap to this, and edit. And it's still going to remember where we left all our UVs sitting, as you can see. So now it's just going to be a matter of organizing this, figuring out how we want to have this laid out for when we paint our texture, and then fitting everything into the 0 to 1. Okay, so alright, let's go to face, and I still have synced element turned on, and I'm just going to grab the body there. Alright, move that over here. Just going to try to get some of this stuff out of the way. Alright, and we'll start with the body because that's kind of going to be the focal point of the entire model. We want to make sure we give this enough space on the texture that the resolution is going to be, decent. Alright, so let's grab that, and I'm just going to go to scale and just scale this down. Alright, and just until it just fits the width of the box. Alright, maybe a tiny bit more. Alright, just like that. You don't want to go down any smaller than you have to. And the reason being is if you shrink all your UVs down and stick them down here in the corner of the 0 to 1 box and you leave all this blank, even if you're using like a 2K texture, your model's really only going to get, about 500 pixels or so of that 2K, so the resolution is going to be really, really bad. And that's why you want to try to utilize, all the space in the 0 to 1 if possible. Don't want to waste anything. I don't think we'll be able to use all of it, just based on the shape of our pieces here, but I'm going to try to really pack it in there if I can. Alright, so we'll get the biggest piece in first, and I might just move that up here actually, towards the top. Alright, maybe stick it there, and you don't want to leave it sticking out else it'll start to tile the texture. Okay, so just make sure it's fit in, and let's grab the top here, and the doors. Alright, that's the bottom door, that's the top door. I'm just going to try to organize them. Alright, so top, middle, and bottom. Okay, and let's grab the base actually up here, and let's move that down because that's probably the next biggest piece, and we'll just scale this down until it just fits in. And you could use the pack UVs function to do this. The only reason I'm doing it manually is just because I want to have control of how it's laid out in Photoshop. Okay, so let's just fit the base in like that at the bottom. Okay, and I think what I might do is try to fit the doors on the top in this gap right here. Alright, we might not be able to take all the space up, but we'll try. Okay, so let's just scale these all down a little bit. Zoom in here. Alright, so let's get the top figured out first. I'm just going to select that piece, and we'll move it up here. And I might just rotate this 90 degrees. Okay, and let's scale it down so it just fits in between the body and the base. Right, try to keep it as big as you can. Alright, might just stick that right there, and then let's grab the doors over here and move those over. Okay, and I'm going to try to move them so they're tightly packed together. Alright, we're still sticking out a little bit there, so let's just go over slightly. Alright, might have a little space here, we can move this over. Alright, so just inside the box. Just want to be careful here, I don't want anything overlapping. Alright, so just like that, and we will have some wasted space down here, but it's, it's not that big a deal, it's minimal. Okay, so we'll just have to figure out how we're going to get all the rest of our pieces into the leftover space. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of move these all up to the top. And we're going to have 4 of these, and we're going to have 4 of these overlapping each other. So let's pull that down. And then we have the base, top and bottom here. Alright, so what I might do in this case is just overlap these two. Alright, and just because you're not really going to be able to see them very good, the top's going to be hidden by the body, and the bottom's obviously going to be underneath, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. It's not always a good idea to overlap your UVs, depending on what you're doing, but in this case, it's not really going to matter if they have the same texture or not. Alright, so let's just move them in here. I might just stick them overlap in the body, or the base body. Okay, so I'm just going to stick them maybe right like there. And it'll just get the same texture as the base. Okay, just to save some space, and then we'll go up to the top here and let's get the slot and maybe scale that down a little bit. I might just stick that maybe right there for now. Okay, and then we're going to have the foot pads. Let's drag these guys out. And again, you could leave these overlapping if you wanted to. They're really small and you probably wouldn't notice if they had the same texture, but I'm going to try to give them unique space. Okay, so we'll drag them out like that, and let's grab all 4 of them and we'll just scale them down. I'm going to try to stick them right in here underneath the slot. Alright, so we'll just go down. Alright, just till they just fit in. Alright, you can probably move the slot up a bit. Alright, just want to make sure it's not overlapping any of the body there. Okay, so maybe just like that, and then we still have the keyhole and the 4 leg pieces. Okay, so I'm going to drag the legs out, give them some unique space. Okay, and then we'll just take a couple at a time, and I might put 2 over here. I might just offset them a bit, and I might scale them down a little farther. Let's just move that one up, and this one over here. Alright, so I'm just going to grab both those and just scale them down slightly until they fit in, without overlapping anything. I might move that up a bit. Okay, just like that, and we'll do the same with these 2 on the other side. Alright, just scale them down slightly. Alright, we'll just stick them up here. Maybe stick this one right there. Alright, just like that. Okay, and then we still have the keyhole here, and this is really, really tiny, so I'm just going to try to fit it into this space right here. Okay, and I'm just going to scale it down until it fits. Alright, maybe like that. Okay, and I think that's all our pieces. Alright, looks like it. Alright, so just like that. And we're utilizing, most of the space. We have some wasted, but that's okay. Alright, so we'll say that's good for the UVs. Let's just minimize this for now. Alright, take a look here. Alright, so you can see the resolution has changed from what we had before. You can see the ones on the base, the checkers, are quite a bit bigger than they are on the body, and before they were even. And that's just because we scaled the base UVs down quite a bit more than we did the ones for the body. So these are taking up less space in the 0 to 1 than the body UVs. Okay, and therefore the body is going to have a slightly higher res part of the texture than this will, because it has more pixel space on the map, if that makes sense. Okay, but it's not drastic, and I don't think you'll really notice when we're done, so I'm just going to leave it like it is. Okay, overall it looks pretty even. Okay, so now that our mapping's done, let's just do a save so we don't have to redo any of that if we have a crash. Alright, so I'm just going to close this and just turn off the unwrap for now, and I think that'll do it for the mapping and this part of the tutorial. So I'm going to end it here, and in the next part we'll actually render out a UV template that we can use in Photoshop as a guide to our texture painting, and we'll also render out a quick ambient occlusion pass from in here as well. We'll add some depth to our texture maps. Okay, but we'll call this one done, and hopefully I'll see you in the next part. Thanks for watching.